Welcome to a deep dive into the world of Sherlock Holmes. We're going to crack open A Study in Scarlet.
Oh, excellent.
To witness the very first case.
I love this one.
Of the legendary detective.
Yeah.
But this isn't just any ordinary mystery.
No.
It's a tale that twists from the fog-laden streets of London to the vast landscapes of 19th century Utah. Get ready, because you're about to uncover secrets, decode cryptic clues, and encounter a whole cast of unforgettable characters.
It's true. You really do get a taste of everything that you're going to see later from Sherlock Holmes in this one.
Yeah, it's like the blueprint.
Yeah, it's great.
So, okay, let's unpack this, starting with our narrator, Dr. John Watson.
All right.
He's just back from military service in Afghanistan, looking for a place to live in London.
Yeah.
When he bumps into the one and only Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
Right away, you can tell Holmes is a unique character.
Yes.
Brilliant, but eccentric, with a passion for chemistry.
That's right. He's always got some sort of experiment going on.
And it's interesting because we, the readers, experience this world through Watson's eyes.
That's right. We do.
He's initially as baffled by Holmes as anyone would be.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't make heads or tails of the guy half the time.
Their mutual friend, Stamford, even calls Holmes a walking calendar of crime.
Walking calendar of crime. I love that.
Because of his uncanny knowledge of past cases.
Yeah.
But it quickly becomes clear that Holmes is more than just a walking encyclopedia.
Oh, yeah.
He has a method, a way of observing and deducing that sets him apart.
It's true. He really puts the pieces together in a way that nobody else can.
And then we have our mystery.
Okay.
The murder of Enoch J. Drebber.
Oh.
In an empty house on Brixton Road, Scotland Yard is called in.
Right.
But even detectives Lestrade and Gregson are stumped.
I mean, what are they going to do? They don't have Sherlock Holmes on their side.
Right. And this is where you really start to see Holmes's genius in action.
Oh, yeah.
Just from glancing at the crime scene. He makes deductions about the murderer.
That's right. He takes one look around the room.
He notes the man's height. Estimates his age.
Yeah.
Even points out that the horse used to get to the crime scene had recently been shot.
All kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, the guy's amazing.
It's all based on subtle clues that others miss.
Yeah, like how high up a muddy splash is on the wall or what kind of cigar ash he finds.
Yeah, and he's not just guessing.
No.
He's applying logic and observation to piece together a picture of the perpetrator.
And that's what makes him so good.
Yeah.
He doesn't let his own biases get in the way. He just lets the evidence speak for itself.
And then there's that chilling word scrawled in blood on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Raish.
Yeah. Talk about a hook.
Right.
What do you think about that?
What do you make of that?
Well, on the surface, it seems like a straightforward German word for revenge, right? But remember, this is a Sherlock Holmes mystery.
Right.
Nothing is ever as simple as it appears.
I know.
This word will come back later.
Okay.
In a way that connects seemingly disparate events and adds a whole new dimension to the case.
So back to the investigation.
All right.
The police initially get sidetracked by a woman's wedding ring found at the scene.
Oh, a wedding ring.
Which leads them to a Mrs. Sawyer and her daughter.
Oh, wow.
It seems like a solid lead. But what does this tell us about the way investigations were conducted back then?
Well, I think this is a great example of how Doyle contrasts Holmes's methods with those of the traditional police. You know, the police are quick to jump on a seemingly obvious clue, letting personal bias and assumptions cloud their judgment. Holmes, on the other hand, approaches the case with a detached, almost scientific mindset.
Okay.
He tests theories, considers all possibilities, and doesn't let emotions or preconceived notions influence his observations.
Wow.
It's really a testament to his genius.
Yeah, it's amazing how relevant that still is even today.
Oh, absolutely.
How often do we let our own biases affect the way we see things?
All the time, right? I mean, we're only human.
Yeah.
Doyle was really ahead of his time in highlighting the importance of critical thinking and objective observation.
It's true.
But getting back to the case, things take another turn when Gregson believes he's solved the case. By arresting Arthur Charpentier, a young man with a connection to the victim's former landlady.
So it seems pretty open and shut, right?
Well, you know, it can't be that easy.
Right.
This is just the first act in a much larger play.
Okay.
And just as everyone thinks the case is closed, news arrives of another murder.
Oh, no.
This time, it's Joseph Stangerson Drebber's secretary.
Okay.
And guess what?
What?
The same word Valleji is found written above his body.
So now even Lestrade,
Yeah.
who usually thinks he's seen it all. What does this second murder tell us about the case?
Well,
and about Holmes's approach?
I think this second murder throws everything into question.
Okay.
Suddenly, what seemed like a simple crime of passion becomes much more complex.
Okay.
For Holmes, this isn't a setback. It's an opportunity. He thrives on these unexpected twists.
Yeah.
Because they force him to think harder.
Right.
To dig deeper, to connect those seemingly random dots that others overlook.
Yeah, he loves a challenge.
He does, he really does.
And he really does connect the dots.
He does.
He starts running experiments with the pills found at both crime scenes and deduces that the killer used poison.
Oh, wow.
And then, in a truly dramatic scene, he exposes the cabman who drove them to the police station as the murderer, Jefferson Hope.
This is where his theatricality comes into play, you know?
Right.
He could have simply explained his deductions.
Yeah.
But he understands the power of a good reveal.
Oh, yeah.
By waiting until the very end. He ensures maximum impact.
It's true.
And remember those pills?
Yeah.
They aren't just a murder weapon. They're a clue that ties directly back to the story's other half.
Okay.
The one unfolding in Utah.
So we've got a killer, a confession, but the case still feels unresolved.
Yeah, there's definitely more to it.
What happened in Utah?
Right.
What's the connection between these seemingly unrelated events?
Yeah, how did we get here?
That's where we'll pick up in the next part of your deep dive.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so we've left the gaslit streets of London behind.
Yeah.
And now we find ourselves in the vast and unforgiving landscape of 19th century Utah.
It's such a shift.
It's a huge shift, right?
Yeah.
Instead of handsome cabs and cobblestone, we have covered wagons and endless desert.
It's a whole different world.
What happens here is key to understanding not just the murders,
right,
but Jefferson Hope himself.
Yeah, you really get into his backstory here.
And it's captivating how Doyle transports us to this completely different world. So we're introduced to John Ferrier, a man on the brink of death.
Yeah, poor guy.
Who's rescued by a Mormon caravan led by Brigham Young himself.
Talk about a dramatic entrance.
Right. They're on this grueling journey to establish a new community in the Salt Lake Valley.
It's an incredible story of perseverance.
And Doyle really delves into the historical context here.
He does.
Highlighting the persecution faced by Mormons in the East.
Right.
And their determination to build a new life based on their faith.
It's a story of resilience and community.
But it also reveals a darker side to this seemingly utopian society.
That's right. Not everything is as it seems.
You're talking about the Danite Band, right?
Yeah.
They were mentioned earlier, but what exactly is their role in all of this?
Well, the Danite Band was a secret organization within the Mormon community.
Okay.
Known for enforcing strict adherence to the church's teachings, often through intimidation and violence.
So they were kind of like the enforcers.
Yeah, a shadowy force operating outside the law.
It's a little creepy.
It is. It casts a chilling shadow over the story.
Right.
Imagine living in a community where even expressing doubt could have deadly consequences.
It definitely adds an element of suspense and danger to the story.
Oh, for sure.
And it's within this tightly controlled community that John Ferrier's adopted daughter, Lucy, grows into a strong-willed and independent woman.
She's a real firecracker.
Yeah, she really is.
Especially for that time period.
She catches the attention of not one, but two sons of prominent Mormon elders.
Oh, boy.
Which puts her in a very precarious position.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's important to note that this was a time and place where women had limited choices.
Absolutely. Their lives were largely dictated by the expectations of the community and the patriarchal structure of the church.
Lucy's refusal to conform to those expectations makes her a threat to the established order.
Yeah, she's definitely a rebel.
And this is where Jefferson Hope, the cabman from London, enters the picture.
Okay.
At this point, he's a young hunter, drawn to the West for adventure and opportunity.
Seems like a lot of people were back then.
He meets Lucy, and they fall deeply in love.
Ah, young love.
Which further complicates matters.
Yeah, because now you've got this forbidden romance.
Right, and their romance is kind of this breath of fresh air in this restrictive environment.
It is. It's a reminder that even in the most oppressive circumstances, the human spirit can still find ways to connect and find joy.
They're both outsiders in their own way.
Yeah.
Yearning for freedom and a life dictated by their own choices.
Not by the rules of others.
But their happiness is short-lived.
Sadly, yeah.
Because Brigham Young himself delivers an ultimatum.
Uh-oh.
Lucy must choose one of the elder sons as her husband, or face the consequences.
So much pressure.
I know, it's a no-win situation.
It really is.
John Ferrier refuses to allow his daughter to be forced into a marriage she doesn't want.
Good for him.
And they make a daring escape with Jefferson's help.
It's like something out of an action movie.
This is where the story takes a thrilling turn.
Yeah, hold on tight.
Imagine fleeing across the rugged mountains pursued by the avenging angels.
Gosh.
The Danites enforcers.
Scary stuff.
It's a desperate race against time.
Uh-huh.
A fight for love and freedom against overwhelming odds.
And you're really rooting for them to make it?
It's a gripping escape. But tragically, John Ferrier is killed during the pursuit.
Oh, no.
Lucy is captured and forced to marry one of the elder sons.
This is so sad.
A month later, she dies, leaving Jefferson Hope utterly devastated.
Oh, man.
And consumed by a thirst for revenge.
You can understand why he'd feel that way.
This is the turning point that connects the seemingly disparate parts of the story.
Right. Everything starts to click into place.
The loss of Lucy, the injustice he witnessed, the ruthlessness of the Danites. All fuel Hope's desire for retribution.
He's been pushed to his breaking point.
He vows to avenge her death and punish those responsible.
Yeah.
Even if it takes him years to do so.
He's in it for the long haul.
This explains why he waited so long to track down and kill Drebber and Stangerson, the two elders who demanded Lucy's hand in marriage.
It's all connected.
He chose poison as his weapon.
Oh, wow.
A method that would be difficult to trace and would allow him to escape detection.
He's really thought this through.
And the poison itself is a symbolic link between the two parts of the story.
I see that.
It represents the insidious nature of the power wielded by the Mormon elders.
Right.
A power that extends far beyond the confines of their community.
It's a subtle but powerful way of connecting those two worlds.
It also highlights the lengths to which Hope is willing to go to achieve his goals.
Yeah, he's transformed into this Avenger.
He becomes a different kind of Danite.
Right.
Taking justice into his own hands.
But is it really justice?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's a morally complex situation.
So the seemingly random murders in London are not random at all. They're the result of a carefully planned and executed revenge plot, rooted in the tragic events that unfolded years earlier in Utah.
It's a story that spans continents and cultures.
But there's still that word race.
Yeah, what about that?
What's its significance beyond simply meaning revenge?
Well, remember how I mentioned that nothing is ever simple in a Sherlock Holmes story? It turns out that Reich is not just a German word.
Okay.
It's also a connection to another unsolved murder.
What?
A case in New York where the same word was found written at the crime scene.
Wow, so now we're talking about a possible conspiracy.
Maybe.
A secret society operating in the shadows.
Things are getting interesting.
This case is getting more complex by the minute.
That's for sure.
It seems like we've answered a lot of questions, but we've also uncovered a whole new set of mysteries.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Where do we go from here? And just when you think you've figured everything out, Doyle throws in another twist.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Even though Holmes is the one who brilliantly unravels the case, the credit goes to Scotland Yard.
Oh, that's right.
It's almost as if the truth gets lost in the shuffle, overshadowed by the desire for a neat and tidy resolution.
That's so typical.
Right.
This final touch of irony is brilliant. You know, it highlights how easily public perception can be manipulated and how those in positions of authority can benefit from the efforts of others without acknowledging their contributions.
It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it is.
It also adds a layer of social commentary, suggesting that institutions like Scotland Yard might be more concerned with appearances than with true justice.
Sadly, that happens sometimes.
So after this deep dive, what do you think Doyle wants us to take away from A Study in Scarlet? What lingers in your mind?
Well, I think he's challenging us to think critically, to question assumptions, and to look beyond the surface of events.
Okay.
He's reminding us that there are always multiple perspectives, hidden motives, and complexities that shape the way stories unfold.
And that even in a world of logic and deduction, human emotions like love, grief, and the desire for revenge can be powerful driving forces.
Exactly. A Study in Scarlet isn't just a thrilling detective story. It's a study in human nature.
Okay.
A story about the enduring power of love, the corrosive nature of vengeance, and the constant struggle to define justice in a world where right and wrong are often blurred.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into A Study in Scarlet. We've covered a lot of ground, but the conversation doesn't have to end here. I hope this has sparked your curiosity, prompted you to ask new questions, and maybe even inspired you to revisit the story with fresh eyes. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those detective hats handy.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.